The genetic investigation was conducted with samples gathered in rice fields in Arkansas, where almost 50% of the nation's rice is grown. Weedy rice is a closely related cousin of crop rice. It aggressively competes with cultivated rice in the field, leading to loss of yield and reductions in harvest quality that compromise market value. Biologists used whole genome sequences of 48 contemporary weedy rice plants to show how herbicide resistance evolved by gene flow from crop rice. Almost all other cases of herbicide resistance in agricultural weeds result from selection of tolerant genotypes in the weed species. Just 20 years after herbicide-resistant rice was first adopted in the southern United States, the majority of fields with a history of herbicide-resistant rice cultivation have weedy rice plants that are also herbicide-resistant. In the last 20 years, weedy rice has gone from being very genetically distinct from U.S. crop varieties to nowadays mostly being derived from crop weed hybridization, Olson said. The weeds are grabbing certain traits from the crop that are beneficial to them, including herbicide resistance. Weeds seize their moment. Weedy rice is a scourge of cultivated rice production around the world. But up until the early 2000s, weedy rice in U.S. fields rarely interbred with the kinds of rice that were commonly grown in this country. Crop rice and weedy rice are the same species, so they are able to interbreed, or hybridize. Their rate of hybridization rate is usually low, generally less than 1%, because rice is self-pollinated. But something happened that changed the centuries-old dynamic between these two closely related plants. Starting in the early 2000s, two new kinds of crop rice were adopted in U.S. fields. One was a new hybrid rice that offered substantially enhanced yield, compared with traditional inbred, self-pollinating, rice cultivars. The other was a new kind that had been tweaked to be tolerant to a certain kind of herbicide. As early as 2004, just 2 years after the new rice was adopted locally, Arkansas farmers already were reporting some cases of herbicide resistance in weedy rice. Such resistant plants were likely outcrosses with herbicide-resistant rice. The situation is somewhat analogous to human health and the emergence of antibiotic-resistant bacterial pathogens. Widespread use of antibiotics ends up strongly selecting for the rapid evolution of the drug-resistant strains, Olson said. As a de-domesticated weedy relative, weedy rice has always been able to outcross with cultivated rice. Based on our results, this ability to interbreed is what led to most of the herbicide resistance that we see today, Wedger said. Problems with the global supply chain, as well as increases in the costs of key crop inputs such as fertilizer, have made growing rice more difficult and expensive. At the same time, global climate change is having local effects on the timing of when rice can be planted. This year, farmers had to cram in planting that usually takes place over a period of 4 weeks into a much shortened window. Only time will tell what the 2022 harvest, beginning this month, will bring. How quickly a resistant weedy rice population builds up to a point where the herbicide is no longer useful depends on how the producer manages the herbicide-tolerant rice technology, Roma Burgos said. There are best management practices guidelines that help growers avoid resistance evolution for a long time, if implemented. Just like in the case of antibiotic resistance, The rise of resistance to this particular herbicide will be met with a new technology that relies on a new herbicide, Weedy. https://ift tt v5 qd 8 hp access September 8, 2022. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.